r/AskReddit by Redical. Pizza guys girls, does your shop have a no delivery list? What houses are on it and why? We had a guy and two girls order separately, then grab the pizzas and run. The girls had picked the food up and left, while the guy was paying. After 30 seconds the guy bolted. It was a $100 order. My manager, who is a frequent gym goer, leapt the counter and gave chase. The two girls had gotten into a car with the food, but when they saw my manager they drove off leaving the guy. My manager chased him 3 blocks and was gaining on the guy when the girls pulled up and the guy got into the car. Unfortunately, all 3 of them went to school with a kitchen hand at the store, so we had names, jobs, addresses, and Facebook accounts. We contacted them all on Facebook and got them to pay for the pizzas the next morning under threat of contacting police. We also put them on the no delivery list. I'm imaging Arnold Schwarzenegger chasing Jonah Hill around and I'm laughing. Ty. Haha. Arnold yelling come back to the counter. I'm sure I'm too late for this to really be seen, but here's my positive story. I delivered for a while in college, and there was 2 we don't deliver their neighborhoods. The manager actually allowed it to be driver's choice, but pretty much everyone said number. I actually had a friend who grew up in one of these neighborhoods and I knew it wasn't just drug dealing murdering psychopaths running rampant, so I said yes, and I delivered to these neighborhoods. One time I was delivering to an apartment that was part of a triplex or quadplex and some kid outside, probably like 5 or 6 years old, stuck his finger at me and said, "This is a robbery. Give me your money." I just chuckled and kept walking. While I was giving the person their pizza I heard from behind me, "The hell do you think you're doing? Boy, don't you know he the only one who deliver here?" Then as I was walking back to my car he was standing on the sidewalk, mom several feet behind him, and he said, "I'm sorry." Okay, we had a really nasty apartment complex in one area of Sacramento. Totally a number. One night a new guy took an order and actually accepted one from there. I was about to call back and say no. I was assistant manager at the time, but running pizzas that day. When in come 2 cops to pick up their pizza, they listen in and offer to tag along. I was dumb and crazy then, so we made the pizza and I loaded into my little truck and drove out there. As soon as we pull into the parking lot, the cop turns off all his lights and coasts into the spot next to mine. I walk up, start the spiel, and start listening to their story of this guy or that guy ordered it. I started to walk away and one of the shady dudes steps out of the bushes next to me, where he'd been hiding. Instantly, every light came on the cop car. Flashes, both spotlights pointing right at me. The cops getting out of the car, fast. Dude steps way back. I walk back to my car, and a couple cops got an extra free pizza that night. And I got a great story. I had something like that happen to me. Mom and pop pizza place. I had already delivered part of their order and realized I had forgotten something on it. Told then I'd be right back out with it. The store was only like 2 miles away, so as I turn on their street, I get stuck behind this old ratty van that pulls into the driveway of the house I was going back to. My first thought was these ducks block the driveway I need. Well, about 1 second later the ducking SWAT team jumps out and raids the house. I take off and go back to my store to tell them what happened. A few days later I'm at my firehouse and one of the cops that was on the raid asked what I was doing at the house. I told him and he said a couple of the cops wanted to stop me but he recognized my car and told them I was cool. The occupants probably concluded in retrospect that you were working with the cops. When I worked at a pizza place, we just had one person that we wouldn't deliver to because he would always refuse to pay and hassle the delivery guy, saying the pizza was cold, took too long, wasn't the right order, whatever. He probably got a couple free pizzas at least before we stopped bothering sending him anymore. We used to have people try to claim the pizza was cold even after we got bags with ceramic heat stones in them. A pizza could be a lot of things but cold wasn't one of them. You could have a pizza in one of those bags for 2 hours and the bottom of the box would be so hot you could barely touch it. It was a pain having to keep those bags plugged in and rotate them, so you were always using a hot one though. 8 years or so ago, the place I worked at had a power strip and 3 stackable rows. When you got back, you plugged your bag in and put it on the shortest stack. Then pull the bag from the bottom of the tallest stack for your next delivery. Really easy to rotate. At our shop we banned an older man who tried to molest one of our larger male employees. Another guy just happened to be masturbating facing the window so the drivers could see him. This happened a couple times so the cops were called. Turned out he had a record of doing this but also doing it in front of school buses. WTF. I used to deliver sandwiches for a shop. We had to blacklist this one lady who would call up last minute and demand 50-100 sandwiches for her meetings and she wanted them delivered in 15 minutes. We explained things to her over and over again that this was not how it worked, but she still demanded her order. So, when it showed up 45 minutes later than expected, she became a monster, causing a scene, not tipping, sending in complaints to the district manager, etc. This happened so many times. And finally, one day, she called in an order for 200 sandwiches. Wanted it in 15 minutes. I delivered it myself and she took the sandwiches from me for her meeting. I sat there and waited for her to sign the receipt. And waited. And waited. Turns out, she took the sandwiches into her meeting and booked the hell out of there, not signing the receipt. She then called her bank to cancel the charge on her card and called us in for fraud. She had the nerve to call up our district manager and said that we owed this to her since all of her orders were late. She was blacklisted after that and my district manager finally apologized for not believing me on this story. Drug reps are the worst. I probably would have followed her inside for that signature. In front of the crowd. Mom, I'm going to have to insist that you pay your bill. I worked at a Little Caesars when I was a teenager. On a really snowy night one of our drivers got into a car accident and sadly lost his life on his way to deliver the pizza. The customer called in a little while after we learned about the accident and absolutely lost his shit that his pizza hadn't been delivered. When the manager explained the situation, he stated he did not give a duck and wanted his pizza delivered for free. Needless to say, he got an earful from my manager and then was put onto a no-serve list. Similar, I was bartending at a popular chain restaurant years ago and on a busy night, we had an elderly woman almost die in the dining room. I'm not sure if she started choking or had a seizure or an allergic reaction or what, but medics were called and CPR was performed on her on the floor of the restaurant. She lived, for the record. But more than one table had the audacity to complain that their meal was being interrupted during the chaos and were demanding free stuff. Like, one set of people had to get up from their seats and move so that she could be wheeled out on a stretcher, and somehow they're the ones who had their dinner ruined. I fucking hate people sometimes. Counterpoint. When I was at Deadpool someone had a seizure and everyone in the theater stopped watching to see what they could do to help. We got movie passes out of it, but not a single person asked for them. Everyone even asked how the guy was doing as they left. Sometimes people don't suck. Apparently our entire complex is on the do not deliver after dark list at a local pizza place. That was encouraging to find out a week after moving in. That sounds like a good way to vet a new apartment complex. Call local delivery and see if they go to that address at night. Our delivery store has a woman who used to come in every so often, or order delivery, who did not want black people to interact with her or her food at all. One of our drivers, a really nice old black dude, delivered to her, and she simply slammed the door in his face. Another time, she walked out on a black cashier, because she swapped places with the white driver who was originally taking her carry-out order. Finally, the manager put his foot down and told her not to come back or order from us ever again. Ugh. I am on the no delivery list of 2 restaurants because my roommate is a ducking idiot and can't math to save his life. He once sent a driver away after a heated conversation with a 25-cent tip. Unfortunately, I was in the shower at the time. It wasn't until afterwards that he was explaining the situation to me that I realized what a moron he was. The bill came to $20.25. He gave the guy $20 and thought it was a good tip because we ordered 2 sandwiches that were basically $7 a piece and a $1 soda for a total of $15. So $5 tip. In actuality, the sandwiches were $7.99 and the soda was $1.99. So $18 right there. Then there was a $2.25 delivery fee. So $20.25. Unfortunately, the delivery guy spoke almost zero English. So all he could say was not enough to my roommate, and my roommate is an ashat who wouldn't read the damned receipt. He is no longer allowed to answer our door. How'd you get blacklisted from the other restaurant? None of our drivers want to deliver to you because you don't tip. Former Domino's driver in a central FL hood. The no service list were apartment complexes or streets where drivers had been robbed at gunpoint. The downtown store had some it'll do in daylight but no service after dark. Duck that job. Bonus. Me with the children. IamGood.com link. Edit. Gold. Dope. I love how obvious he is in the picture. The Domino's uniform really gives it away. The only clue. Really. Long time ago for me. But we had a huge delivery area and several entire apartment complexes blacklisted because they were hideously unsafe for anyone thought to be carrying money. There were also a couple where we would deliver to the front gate only, not go into the complex itself. Greenspoint area, north side of Houston in the early 90s for those aware of the area. Yup, when I was little my family lived in Guns Point during the summer of '92 while looking for a house. My dad had just transferred to Houston from Dallas and we stayed in his corporate apartment for about 2-3 months while we bought clothes on a house. Ended up moving to the Willowbrook area. But I remember that summer I was 9 years old, my brother was 7, and we weren't even allowed to go to the apartment pool in summer in Houston. That sucked. That is right about when I was delivering out there. That area was crazy. I used to be a delivery driver for Pizza Hut. I used to work the Sunday afternoon shifts and would have the same man order a supreme pizza every week. I was always the one to deliver his order because most of the time I was the only driver on duty at that time of day. Alan was a nice, quiet man who had a lovely front porch. One day, I didn't take his delivery for some reason. Poor Marvin took the delivery instead on the day that Alan decides to open the door stark naked. Alan wanted to show me, a small red-headed girl, the goods, not big black Marvin. Alan never got another delivery. Haha, that's awesome. I used to deliver Meals on Wheels and it's amazing how many guys would try to pull shit like this. I'm a man and I will never understand this thinking. Did he really expect you to be so enamored with his nakedness that you just drop down and start fellating him? What do you even say once you answer the door? Hey, thanks for the pizza, how about some dong? Poor Alan. I am assuming Marvin had little sense of humor about being at that answered door. Yes, I worked for a pizza place in high school. One of my friends was killed during a delivery. Apparently, the husband had been in trouble before for domestic violence or something. I heard stories about the wife answering the door with fresh blood on her face, black eyes, that sort of thing. A couple other guys actually called the cops after delivering their pizza. Anyways, my friend shows up to deliver the pizza and I guess the husband thought he had called the police a few nights before. The husband shot and killed my friend. Damn. That just made me think of my friend who was killed by his boss at Pizza Hut. Well, he wasn't at Pizza Hut at the time he died, but he met the guy who killed him there. My friend was only like 13 at the time. This guy, his boss, had this thing where he would show him ye-books of the local girls' private school and tell him that certain girls worked for him and would give oral sex, but he had to be blindfolded and tied up at the time. Yep, so you can figure out what it really was. My friend found out and got mad at the guy, his Pizza Hut boss, hit him over the head with a baseball bat and killed him. I still go look up when this a-hole comes up for parole every year and they always shoot him down. He's been in prison now for about 30 years. Edit. I found a link to the trial online if anyone wants to read about it. tnfindacase.com link. So the boss would blindfold the kid, blow him and say it was a girl who did the suck job. Then the kid found out and the boss killed the kid with a bat. There was an older man who suffered from dementia that would order 4 fountain drinks and nothing else from my shop. Then would tip about $300 every time. After hearing about it a couple times, I told my manager, and we all agreed to get in contact with his family, let them know we wouldn't take orders from him, and that they'd have to take some measures to keep him from doing the same with other establishments. God only knows how much money that guy gave away. Edit. Row. And to think my next highest rated comment is about how North Milwaukee sucks. Thank you kindly for the gold. That was kind of you. A lot of other people would have kept taking advantage of that situation. I had an old man tip me $54.32 once. I assumed it was his PIN code and he made a mistake, so I drove back to his house to return it. He took every penny back. No tip. Don't work there anymore, but we had a nasty 50-plus-year-old woman that would always answer the door naked who was blacklisted, and a 5-block area we wouldn't deliver to because it was the ghetto capital of our city and people had been robbed. I delivered pizza in NJ. I went on the porch to see a snarling Rottweiler behind the door. Not a big deal. Happens a lot. I'm a stranger, the dog is just being a dog. The lady pushes him back. We do the pizza transaction and as I'm turning to go, the lady said, "Oh my god, he's out." The back door was open and the dog was charging around the house about to come on the porch. I quickly opened the door to run inside, but the lady screamed no. The really bad one is inside and I see a bigger Rottie just inside the hall, so I stick myself between the screen door and the real door and I'm trapped in an angry dog sandwich. The outside dog bites my calf because I can only close the screen door so much. Not much damage, but I'm bleeding. The manager goes to talk with the lady. It is like 1/8 of a mile from the store or that lazy bastard wouldn't have bothered. And Rotties up and up out back. As soon as the lady starts talking to him, another small nut dog zips out the door and bites him on the hand. He made the call on no more pizza for them. I shouldn't laugh, but the really bad one is inside is a brilliant line. That line and her panicked look really had me scared. Stuck between a dog and a hard place. We marked off an entire section of town on the big map in the back of our store because there were too many shootings and murders in the area. Some parts of that section we would go to if it was daylight, but wouldn't deliver to after dark. Others we just didn't go to at all. It was such an exciting way to make money during college. Our greedy ass owner refused to develop such a list. Even after 2 of our drivers were mugged at the same house. They wouldn't let us avoid neighborhoods, no matter how unsafe, no matter what time of day. Thanks for watching this Reddical video. Subscribe for the best Reddit videos straight to your feed 3 times a day.